Hey, what's up everybody? Amir Fazeli here from Adonis Athletics. They call me the Salty Strength Coach. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you part of my training from the other day and something that I use called, or I've been using the last couple of weeks as an experiment called Myo-Reps. As you can see, there are people in the background pretending to be busy and working out. Don't mind them. I put them there on purposely as actors. These are the things that goes down at Adonis Athletics, my friends. So let's get into it. What are Myo-Reps and why am I doing them? Myo-Reps are essentially kind of like rest pause training. So the premise is that muscles don't really fatigue, or a muscle group doesn't really get all the fibers involved in a movement, in an exercise, until the last few reps of a particular set that you're doing. Because the last few reps are the ones that usually you feel the burning and you get fatigued and you really feel like you're working, right? So let's first talk about what the premises behind hypertrophy or muscle development is. So a couple of things are needed. One is volume, one is mechanical tension, and the other thing that's needed is metabolic stress on the muscle. Those three things are very important for hypertrophy, muscle growth, and that's sort of what that third thing, metabolic stress especially, is what Myo-Reps sort of targets and works on. It's maybe not something that you would do all year round, but it's certainly something that you would either incorporate into parts of your training or do in different times, purely as part of your training, which is what I'm doing now. So it's essentially my hypertrophy training right now is more or less purely Myo-Reps where I can. There's a couple of reasons for it, but first let's get into what they are and how it works. So as you would have seen the very first set where I was just busting out endless reps, what you're trying to do is find a weight that you can do a very high number of reps with. So in that case, I did about 20. You definitely don't want to be going much under 12 or 10. You would be wanting to aim for 16 plus. So there are cases where you'd go even more than 20. But in this case, let's just go with 20. That's a good round number. So I found the weight that makes it tough for me to do 20 reps, which is the weight that you see currently on the belt squat machine. Trying to get my quads huge, trying to work on getting my squat bigger, trying to just get thicker all around in the thigh area, as you can see. So what I did was, after I found the correct weight that 20 reps would be hard with, which is the weight that you currently see, what you then do is you rest about 15 seconds and you do about a quarter of the reps that you did your first set with. So my first set was 20 reps. And so all subsequent sets are 15 seconds rest with 5 reps following. So it's just essentially just rest pauses, and you're just busting out 5 reps one after the other. You can do it two ways. You can either do a predetermined number of sets, which is what I'm doing, or you can auto-regulate it and sort of stop where performance drops off, or any other kind of marker that you want to set for yourself in regards to auto-regulation. I have a predetermined number of sets because I have a good idea of what my MRV is, how much volume I can handle per week, per muscle group, and I try and hit those within the different types of exercises that I do. One very big advantage that Myo-Reps has is that for somebody like me who tends to get very busy, and busyness can tend to become a very quick excuse to cut training sessions short, or even not to turn up to training sessions in the first place, I can cut down the length of my sessions to like literally, half of what it would normally take, the length that it would normally take by doing something like this. So what essentially happens is, let's just talk a little bit more about what Myo-Reps are and how it works. So like I was saying, the last couple of reps of any given set is really the ones that you feel like you actually did something. When you rest for short periods, what you are doing is you are fatiguing the muscle fibers that didn't work in that first set, in the previous set, and you're going again and again. And so essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to fatigue as much muscle fibers as you can within that exercise without giving the ones that are already fatigued, any real chance to recover. So then the muscle is forced to call upon muscle fibers that are not quite fatigued yet to do the work. And typically, these are the faster twitch muscle fibers, which have a higher sort of ability or capability to grow. Because what will usually happen is during a set, you won't really fatigue those muscle fibers initially. The body is going to call upon slower twitch muscle fibers to do the job first, and when they fatigue, then you start to bring in other muscle fibers that are stronger and can do the work. So that's a little bit about Myo-Reps.